And one of the things that the military does when they identify that you have a particular ability or talent, that's where they put you. And you don't have a choice. And once you get in that position, if you don't accomplish what you're supposed to accomplish, they'll replace you. There is no whiny in the military. And I think the advantage of that for the people who have gone through it is simply it gives you the discipline to deal with it because everyone else is dealing with the exact same thing.
Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. My name is Jared Miguez, a co-host on this podcast that brings you the inspiring stories of our clients who are leaders and innovators across different industries in Southeast Louisiana. They are visionary entrepreneurs, savvy real estate professionals, media creators, military business owners, and community champions. And we are going to showcase the remarkable achievements and share their personal stories. Tune in for insightful conversations, valuable lessons, and motivational stories that are going to reveal their secrets to success and offer you insights to help you on your own path. Welcome to In the Arena Podcast. All right, welcome to In the Arena Podcast. Got a longtime friend on several levels, Mr. Jeff Sonnenberg. Very excited to have a conversation with you, my friend.
Happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. So today we got Dom here. That should trigger to everybody that we're going to talk about Mr. Jeff's military experience and how that relates to your business. And our ideal audience person, somebody who's listening to this podcast, wants to know how they can be a better business person. And the perspective that you guys have of seeing the things you've seen, doing the things you've done, having the training and the experience you have is going to allow them to be better. And so we want to get into a lot of that today. Good. And so I'm just going to kind of give a little rundown of what I know about you, and then we're going to go into more detail, right? You were in the Army for 12 years. Some of that was active, some of it was inactive, but 12 years. And you were in whenever people were getting drafted. And you decided that you were going to say, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to raise my hand instead of waiting for somebody to tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to go pick what I'm going to do. You went to college. You were an officer. And you got to step in as a young buck leading people who have been in the military for a long time.
That is correct.
And I think that is going to lead to a lot about who you are as a person. And I know, as a young person, you probably felt as though you weren't ready for that, or maybe you thought that you were, even though you might not have been, but you learned a lot. And so, let's just start out with, what made you decide to join the military, even though you kind of felt like you had to, because you took that step, you decided to become an officer. What was that transition like to get in the military, and what made you make that decision?
Well, first of all, during that period of time, Vietnam was hot. Mm-hmm. And we were drafted. If you were the right age and you had the physical ability, you were drafted and you went to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my friends died in Vietnam. So my challenge at that time was, do I want to be a hippie, or does it make sense to get paid and become an ROTC guy, mm-hmm. which I hated because you had to put the outfit on, right? Mm-hmm. Spit shine the shoes and all that stuff. So anyway, I did that because I got paid, but I also wanted to go in as an officer because I knew with my luck I'd probably get drafted. Mm-hmm. So myself and a number of other guys in our dorm all went the ROTC way. I was very fortunate. I graduated at the top of my class. I was number 3 cadet. Mm. And part of that, I think, led into the job that I got when I went into the military, because I went in, Brooke Army Medical Center is where I landed. And
where's that at?
Pardon me?
Where is that at?
It's in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
And one of the things that you touched on already was I did not feel prepared. Mm. Trust me. Mm. I'm a young punk. I go in, and now I've got older gentlemen who are responding to what I asked them to do, and they always say, yes, sir. It was like, wow. So here I am, and one of the things that the military does when they identify that you have a particular ability or talent, that's where they put you. Mm-hmm. And you don't have a choice. And once you get in that position, if you don't accomplish what you're supposed to accomplish, they'll replace you. Mm-hmm. There is no whiny in the military. Yeah. And I think the advantage of that for the people who have gone through it is simply it gives you the discipline to deal with it. Yeah. Because everyone else is dealing with the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. And part of the challenge for me at that point in my life is I really felt an obligation as a patriot. I wanted to be part of protecting our country from the communists.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went in totally aware that I could be sent to Vietnam.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what capacity you were in, you could still be sent to Vietnam. It didn't happen for me, thank God, but I saw the results of it. I worked at a burn center. Picture that.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You'll never forget
Never.
the smell of a burnt body, ever.
Wow, that is so true. And it just is what it is. And you deal with it. You get used to seeing that every day of your life. And those are the kind of things that make you grow up maybe quicker than you normally would, or maybe you never would.
Yeah.
And I think being around disasters like that, whether it's actually on the combat field, flying helicopters, jumping out of planes, trying to save people, all of that stuff can be done by anybody. It's very dangerous. But the reality is, if you get through it, some people get through it with no arms, no legs, scarred, whatever, mentally. But if you get through it, I think it kind of sets you up for dealing with life.
Yeah. So, I mean, perspective of seeing things like that and then getting into the civilian world, dealing with business, does it help you compartmentalize things and set, things in true perspective of what's actually going on and maybe work through things differently than somebody else would?
Without question. Yeah. Because all of a sudden you realize what I'm doing now, I happen to be in the real estate business. It's not heart surgery.
Yeah.
It's a job, and we get good at it. Some of us get better at it than others. But, it really does, because when you've been through life circumstances that are traumatic, anything less than that is really no big deal.
Sure.
That's right.
So let me ask you this. You said something about you graduated top of your class. You're a third rank cadet. You're young, right? I mean, how old are you? 18, 19, 21 years old.
When I went in the military.
So one of the things I like to ask people about too, especially in the military, because I got to meet one of Dom's leaders and somebody he was his mentor the other day. Incredible guy. I got to spend one-on-one time with the guy. It was one of the coolest experiences I've had in my life. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
My former commander.
Nice.
He's still a colonel in the Air Force.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, and he, his perspective, he's asking me advice because my perspective of being in business, and he's thinking about getting out. So it's just a cool dynamic. But in order for an 18-year-old kid to go into college, make the decision to join the military, you had to have some leaders in your life that had some influence on you. Did your dad give you good influence? Did you have good leaders in the military? How did those people shape the decisions you made at such a young age?
I think I was lucky. I didn't have a father that was active with me. Great guy, wonderful man, but not somebody who was a mentor, so to say. And I think what happened is through sports, I happened to get a scholarship to college. You meet coaches and you meet other individuals who are also elite athletes. I wasn't an elite athlete, but I was good. And all of a sudden, you start looking around and realize that if you want it, winning a race, if you want it, you have to work at it, and you have to really work at it to get better, better, better. I was never a great student. I hate to admit that.
I can relate.
In case my daughter's out there listening to this. But
She was a good student, though.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I always enjoyed the surroundings. And I think I looked forward to some of my professors who I thought were pretty cool individuals and successful in their businesses. And I admired that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like that. Although one of the this is hard for you to believe maybe, but I used to be terrified of public speaking.
Really?
I think a lot of people have that issue, particularly in high school.
I had that conversation with yesterday. I agree with you.
It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Am I going to be stupid?
Yeah.
Those things go through your mind. But at the end of the day, when you are forced to do it, and you do it and you pull it off, all of a sudden you realize not so terrifying.
Yeah.
And if you're prepared for it, it's very easy to talk about it. And I think that's the other thing that the military does. It forces you to do things you normally would not do. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's a good thing.
Yeah. You survive and you figure it out.
I survived.
Yeah.
But for people who are fortunate enough to have mentors, people that they admire, that they respect, and want to be like, that's a tremendous advantage. For those that don't have that, I think you have to be fortunate to maybe stumble into a relationship with a professor or a good friend or an uncle or somebody who helps you stay on the right path.
Sure.
But I would also bet, not to interrupt you, but being an athlete, a high-level athlete, we'll call you that, right? You got the elite and high level. We'll just call you high level if you don't want to be called elite.
That'll be fine.
I would imagine, though, there was a part of your mind and your mindset at that age that said, hey, what else am I capable of doing? And military was probably in that conversation, no?
That's a great point because I think everybody
has that question. What is my breaking point?
What could I do? Exactly. What could I become? Mm-hmm. I want to become more, better. I want to be an influencer. I mean, you may think that, but you never say it because you go, really?
Yeah.
You? Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great point because as you are put into circumstances, whether it's in business, whether you just happen upon it, if you're in church one day and someone says, hey, Jeff, would you come up here for a minute and tell us?
Yeah.
What are you going to say? No. And I think you start to get a confidence in your ability. Maybe not the ultimate. I'm still not where I would like to be, but
yeah, sure,
I'm okay. And I think being pushed or pulled causes you to respond. Some people respond negatively to it initially,
sure,
but maybe grow into it.
Yeah.
And I think in business, one of the biggest challenges when you're running an organization is how do I help those individuals in my company fulfill their dreams? How do I do that? What can I do to help them? Let's forget about me, forget about profit, hard to do.
Yeah.
But let's forget about that for a second. How can I make this group of 10 people or 110 or 1,010? How do I do things that will help them achieve their goals?
That's what I literally read a book the other day, and they said that they were talking about the exact thing. It's the point is not to push somebody to be a better person or force them. It's to create a space big enough for them to be able to live in your world. If you don't, they're going to go find somebody else's world that is big enough. And that's one thing about real estate that I feel like it's transitioned over the years. It used to be, you're going to work on my team. I'm going to tell you what you have to do, and this is the goal you're going to have. They've transitioned now to saying, this is the resources I have for you. If you can leverage these resources to help you grow, this is what it'll cost for you to have them. And I'm going to create a world where if you tag in and you plug in here, we'll help you get where you want to be. And I think that it's been a good shift in the mindset of a lot of real estate professionals lately. But
I want to add something to that because my other business that I have, my wife and I have a yoga studio. I also have an executive coaching business called Grit. And I was on a flight. This is a quick story. I was on a flight to LA a couple months ago, and I saw this CEO that I know who he is. He has a large organization, has thousands of employees. And so the person that was sitting next to him in first class got up to go to the bathroom. And so I saw the seat open, and I went and sat next to him, and I introduced myself. I told him who I was, and I asked him a very direct question. I said, sir, how do you, as a CEO of your organization, maintain accountability of your top executives within that organization? And his answer was simple. He said, I create an environment so that the people that work for me know they have free reign to go after whatever dreams that they have. And if I can provide that space for them to accomplish their dreams, I don't have to hold them accountable.
Interesting.
That is interesting, isn't it? If I can create a space for those people to fulfill their dreams, I don't have to hold them accountable to their job because they are self-accountable at that point. Because they're not working for me, they're working for themselves, just within my organization.
Your comment about the new real estate industry, really, because it has changed dramatically, is it puts more responsibility on the agent. You're not successful. Why is that?
Yeah.
Don't blame the company.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how we can get you. Let me help you get better. This may not be the business for you. You got to have these heart-to-heart conversations occasionally and say, there was a country, when I first got into real estate years ago, dark ages actually, folks, one of the things that was very interesting to me is how do you get started? I was not from here. I was from Detroit, down in the deep south, right? Y'all. And this one country guy who was doing quite well said, well, what I find helps is you got to get off your seat on your feet in the street. That was his comment.
Yeah.
That was Norman. And he did quite well. But when you think about that simplistic thing to do, get up, get on your feet, let's get going, let's do something and get in the street, whatever that meant.
Yeah, meet people.
Then.
But they tie together so well. I mean, a lot of people who don't want to get up, get on their feet, and get on the street don't have a dream and a goal that they're trying to create. And I feel like that's one thing that the real estate world still doesn't do well, is helping people create a goal and get them inspired and passionate about something that they want to pursue, and then give them the world and the space to go get it. And a lot of the conversations that you have, it's like, what is your purpose for doing this job? Like, what are you trying to accomplish outside of just making a dollar? Like, what is the real thing that motivates you to get up every day and force you to, or encourage you to move forward? And I think there's a disconnect there, but it's because a lot of those people don't have a passion or a vision or a goal, or they see somebody else's and they try to adopt theirs, and it's not really their real reason for moving forward.
But I also think, and you can comment on this as well, the military does a great job of pushing you to a point that's going to break you. Then they break you. Then they build you back up. People that don't have those experiences don't really know what they're made of.
Dude, that concept in my brain, I've literally thought about. I've said this before. I believe that people who have gone through something in their life that make them realize what it takes to be at the bottom, or to fail, or to have been, like you said, broken, and build themselves back up and accomplish something hard, don't really know what it means to work hard. And that's one of the things I've always said. Like, y'all have y'all's military perspective, and I love that. My perspective was law school. I didn't like it. I wasn't good at it, right? But I put my mind to it. I figured it out. I learned how to study, and I accomplished it. And when I graduated from law school and took that bar exam, passed on the first try, I was at the gym when I got my results. I called my dad immediately and said, there's nothing in this world that I can't do. Nothing.
Wow. Good for you.
There's nothing, because I accomplished the hardest thing. And now, I mean, truly, no matter what it is, you tell me, like, hey, I need you to go accomplish this, I could go do it.
Of course.
I could go do it, because I know that if I just put in the effort and the work, and I just get off my butt, get on my feet, get on the street, and go start doing it, I'm going to figure it out.
But some people in business, whether it's a real estate agent, business owner, somebody selling whatever, if they don't have that experience, right, they're always questioning themselves, like, what am I made of?
Yeah.
What is my passion? What is the thing that's driving me? Yeah. If they don't have those types of learning experiences.
So sometimes it's just getting up in the morning and leaning forward. Like, I always I think about that sometimes too. It's like, if you lean forward and stay on your toes and you just keep moving, you're eventually going to get there. Something's going to give if you keep giving the effort and energy, especially in this town. And you can relate to this, right? Moving from out of town. I moved from out of town. I'm from North Louisiana. So when I got down here, I've been to LSU and Baton Rouge. I went to New Orleans for law school. It's just very different environments than if you spend time here. And especially in St. Tammany Parish, which is where we've run our businesses, if you work hard and do the right thing, the people in this town will respect you. And it may take 3 or 4 years, but you're going to get momentum in this town. Humility, hard work, and doing the right thing, I believe in this town will get you a long way. But you just got to put in the effort, and it takes time. And a lot of people don't want to put in the effort and the time. It gets hard, and they don't know what it feels like to put pressure on themselves and to get through things. And it takes time.
No, so true. And instant. We live in an instant society, and that's a real challenge.
Yes.
So many kids are coming out of school or not even going to school, which is fine.
Sure.
It's not for everybody, for God's sakes. But one of the things is either they're afraid of failure. The fear of failure is huge, I think, in the human psyche.
Yeah.
I think it's huge. So if you've had the luxury of failing and realizing that it's not the end of the world, and I didn't die.
That's right.
That's what
And I'm
always
still
you didn't
here.
die.
That's right.
So what's next? And when people say, "Well, I'm afraid of risk, or I'm risk adverse, or whatever," and you want to look at them and say, "So why?
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way? What's the concern you have about trying and failing?" And I think we put so much pressure on kids to succeed. I see it, and I'm not a big fan of starting kids in athletics so young that by the time they're 8, they're tired of the sport. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure. 100%.
And then you have the parents there. You can see push, and you want to grab the parent and say, "What the hell is wrong with you? What
them
is
enjoy it a little
this?
bit, yeah.
They're 6 years old, for God's sake, and you're yelling at them because they dropped the ball. They don't have the eye-hand thing yet.
Yeah.
Give me a break." So I think we as parents, adults, educators, or whatever, we need to talk about failure. We need to talk about not being picked. I mean, everybody gets a cotton picking trophy for showing up. Are you kidding me? When I first saw that, I went, "What?"
Well, I mean, in the special operations community, we train to failure point, because the failure point is then the weak point, and then we
Yes.
build off of that. And so, on my team, we didn't look at running through a CQB house and, I guess what I'm trying to say here more clearly is that failure isn't actually like a setback. It's meant to build you to move forward, right? And
Educational.
yes.
It's educational.
And so, in parts of the military, you train to fail, to say, "Oh shit, okay, there's our weak point. Now we got to build around it."
Yeah.
And then we push and fail again, and then we build around it, and that's how that's how we become
And that's how you get really good
really good.
and have very few failures.
Exactly.
At some point.
Exactly.
And when you look at firefighters, same thing. How do you run into a burning building? Are you kidding me? Who does that? But they have the training that they're okay to do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can climb that ladder.
For sure.
And I can do those things.
One of my favorite quotes is that the greatest gift that we were given is the gift of time, because time gives us the ability to become the version of ourselves that allow us to get to heaven or wherever you're going. If you didn't have time, you would be who you are, and you wouldn't have the chance to fail and try and get better to become whoever you were meant to be, right? And so if you understand what the purpose of time is, to get from where you're at to where you're going, give you the chance to be better or to grow, you get more comfortable with just taking action and figuring things out. And there's a book called The Gap and the Gain. We talked about this on your retreat, and I've used this reference quite a bit now that we've been on the retreat. And it talks about how a lot of people live in the gap between where they're at and their goal that they set, right? That space that you didn't quite accomplish, as opposed to stopping and turning around, acknowledging the gap, but looking at where you've come from to get to where you're at. Live in the game. At least give yourself the ability to look and say, like, I failed, and enjoy that a little bit, and then reference the gap that you have and try to accomplish that, obviously moving forward. But to acknowledge the fact that you have failed, you figured things out, you solved problems, and you've come so far from where you began. The jiu-jitsu conversation was like that too, right? You start rolling with somebody who's a blue belt. I don't even have a belt, but I was jiu-jitsu with one of my buddies, and I'm like, I learned something in 5 minutes. And if I would thinking about what I did know when I got on that mat, and then 20 minutes later after I got off and got humiliated by this guy who put me in a pretzel, I still learned a lot, right? And so, I mean, I gained even though I got completely manhandled by this guy.
But I think this is a really important thing to talk about too, is as business owners, allowing people to fail. Like, you have to allow your employees to get stuck. You have to allow your employees to fail and to learn, because if we're just constantly pushing, constantly setting goals, constantly trying to drive them forward, are they then getting the best?
Well, the biggest thing is business owners,
best lesson.
a lot of times business owners, especially small businesses, and this is my problem, right? There's a fear that's associated with this, but mine is always saving the day.
Sure.
Like solving the problem for somebody because I know that I can, instead of letting them solve the problem and building the process around that weakness or that failure, or realizing they need more training. And it comes a lot from the fear of losing something that you've worked so hard to get, right? And then having somebody else trying to leverage and them not quite be ready or haven't experienced that. And so as a business owner, especially somebody who's in a business generating role, you almost start coveting that because you want to keep it, the relation, all the hard work you put in, right? You know, if something happened in one of your files, I'd want to go in and solve that problem because I don't want to lose the relationship we have. And so there's that element of it. But yeah, in order for you to get there, and especially when you're working on a team, you have to work as a group and you have to let people figure it out behind you, so that it's not you doing the job all day. It's being able to delegate tasks, for sure. Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think as an owner, part of your responsibility is to create meetings. No one likes meetings, right? Mm-hmm. But create a meeting that helps your people focus on a situation. Mm-hmm. Let's say this happens tomorrow. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do? What do you think? And get everyone's reaction to that. Mm-hmm. Pose a problem. Talk about it, because in selling, one of the things you're supposed to do is to have the ability to handle all objections, right? What negative? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you get a script and you learn the script verbatim, the script is right. You say the same thing over and over and over. It becomes second nature. So when someone is going to bring up that question, going to create that problem, how can you handle it comfortably, seamlessly, and not be stressed? Oh my God, what if they say, relax, it's not heart surgery, we'll get through this. Yeah. And I think the challenge for an owner is to take the time, and it's hard to find time to do this maybe, but take the time or hire somebody to help you do it, to create some training sessions that are real life, real situations. They're not hypothetical. This happened Thursday.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what we did. What do you think? What would you have done? How would you say it? Say it. Let me hear you say it.
Practice.
And all of a sudden, they start getting more comfortable having dialogue.
For sure.
And it's also it's setting them up. You know, we did this a number of times when I was on the teams. Is we would go into a training iteration, and the lowest ranking member of the team now just became the highest ranking member and made all the decisions.
Interesting.
To force them into that decision making role and have them recognize, like, hey, the decisions that are having to be made here at high level, you might not have even thought about it when you were way down here, but here's your opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And to put them in a position to learn and to fail, to then go back to where they are within the stack and say, okay, you see what you learned?
Yeah.
Now apply that in your role. Right. And so it's putting people in those situations saying, hey, you know what? You're the boss today. Figure some stuff out. Right. For them to learn. That's how you learn. That's how you get into that failure. Recognizing that, hey, I didn't die. It's not rocket surgery here, right? It's just a misspelled word on a contract that we have to go and retype up or something. But giving them that experience of leadership, giving them that experience of failure, so that way they can feel it versus just it being talked about.
One of the things that we do at our meetings, that, like you talked about, is that we have an issues list, and we encourage our employees to put the issues on the list, so that when we go over them every week, right? And we believe that the only thing between us where we're at now is where we want to be are the issues that are in all the weak points we've talked about. And so when we come to the meeting every week, our employees have to walk in the room putting an issue on the list to help us get better. Perfect. And we encourage that type of conversation. But one of the things that we are not doing well is the training part. And so we're taking a step back right now, and we're going to go back into more of a training mentality to make sure that our lower level people, the people who are the youngest or the newest, are going to be able to step up and be in that role. And we're going to try to divide and be more intentional about these people need accountability. So you're going to be the accountability person for these people. These people need training more than accountability. So we're going to limit the people who are training to just focus one-on-one or maybe one-on-two, as opposed to diversifying somebody having to do accountability and training. So we're trying to pivot and be better trainers, because that's one of the things we're going fast, and being able to train people is not an easy thing.
And to your point about giving, it doesn't matter what level an individual is in your organization. They're in your organization. And every level has responsibilities. And if you help them understand how to deal with issues, how to talk to the client. I can still remember going to a bank and the person that you meet at the counter was an idiot. And it's you almost want to scream. You say, "No, you don't understand what I just said."
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand what you say. And you go, "Oh my God." So that person was the front man for the company. Same thing when you go you go into Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's. What's the difference? Image, cleanliness, education, wanting to serve you, the client, the person trying to get the meal. You go, and I don't want to knock McDonald's, but there is a difference.
Yeah.
And it's who you hire, it's how you train them.
Training.
And it's what you expect from them. And I think oftentimes in our business life, we don't identify what we expect that individual to produce for our clientele.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you and me. It's the client that needs to be serviced.
That's actually a really great point that you bring up because, sometimes as business owners, we could do a better job. In the military, there's this bluff, bottom line up front, right? When you get a mission, that's one of the first things that's on the page is bluff. Bottom line up front, this is the thing. And then it goes really deep into the details, into the weeds of the mission. And so I could, maybe you could, maybe we all could, bottom line up front, this is it. And then we get into the weeds and into the details of what it is that we're trying to get into.
Yeah. And some similar to that I'm kind of working through in my head is we always talk about maintaining the standard. But in order for you to really maintain the standard, it's got to be super clear what the standard is. And if you haven't clarified the standard to your staff or to your client or to your partner, then they can't operate with living up to that, right? So bottom line up front, what is the bottom line? What is the standard? What is the task? What's the condition? What's the standard that you have to that you operate in, right? And so once you understand the standard, you can lay out the task and you can say like, this is what you have to do. Now you need to go figure out how to solve this problem. Yeah. And we had a conversation today where we're trying to decide if we're going to keep this software we just hired that we brought on a couple of months ago, and we're kind of going back and forth, positives and negatives. I'm like, okay, how does this overlay on the standard that we expect, right? What communication, closing on time, and a closing experience? How does it affect those three things? That's the standard that we expect us to live up to. We need to have the highest level of those three things. And so we all decided that it wasn't helping us get to that point, so there's no reason for us to be paying for the software. So anyway, I think you're right. Like training, in order to train, you have to have a clear standard in order to get there.
I made a comment about mission. In the military, we go back to the military here. In the military, you state what is the mission? What are we all about to do? Mm-hmm. How are we going to do it? What are the obstacles? What is the this guy does this, that guy does that. And if we don't do it together with the same goal in mind, guess what? We're not going to get there.
Yeah.
And we have a thing about going up the hill, we all go up the hill, not just one. We all go up the hill, and we're all going to be involved, and everyone's got their role to play. Different roles, get that, different responsibilities, different challenges, but the only way that we can grow a company, and that's what you're wanting to do, the only way you can do that is you have to have more people, typically. I mean, you're limited as to what you can do in a day. Sure. Dominic, same thing for you. You're limited, but we can talk about how you can help me get there.
Yeah.
And when you talk about this gentleman that had thousands of employees, that's beyond my mind. And he had a quick answer for you. He goes, "Hey, we figured it out."
Yeah.
The military figured it out over 200 years. Yeah. We know what to do.
For sure.
You get this person, and that person, and that is the goal. And we're all going. We're going to get there.
Yeah.
Clearly defined, obtainable. I think this is another thing, and to your point about failure, reaching a point of failure, we oftentimes have these lofty goals, right? Oh, we're going to, Well, the reality is maybe it's not obtainable today. 5 years from now, maybe. or 25. But what's an obtainable goal so that the individual at the bottom of the heap doesn't feel overwhelmed, doesn't feel like there's no chance I can ever do that. So here I am, I'm disappointed. I didn't do it. I failed. And we have to be able to look at failure and use it as a learning tool, not to make you feel bad.
For sure.
So we instituted something at our yoga studio here. It's called an AFGO, AFGO, because we were having people just miss small things, and I'm not in the business of like hiring somebody just to make sure you're doing everything. And if you don't, and then I have to fire you. That's not how you learn. That's not how you become better. And so we instituted a thing called AFGO. It stands for another fucking growth opportunity. Okay.
Okay.
And so if someone shows up at the studio and let's just say the towels weren't folded or the room wasn't vacuumed up properly or whatever the thing is from the last shift, you go to the front desk. We have an AFGO binder. You put your name, you put the person's name that missed whatever it was on their shift. You fill out what they missed. The next time that person comes to the studio and they look at that binder and they see their name, hey, what did I do? They're now educated. Oh, man, I forgot to turn the TVs off, or I didn't mop the room well. They sign it, they acknowledge it, and then they move on. What that allows me as a business owner is say, all right, who's collecting all these AFGOs? Like, where are we, right? Who's got 15 AFGOs, and what are the things that they're missing? Okay, well, we now need to train that person better. Or they just don't want to be here, and they're not just doing the procedures properly. But it also gives that person the opportunity to learn, for them to know that they didn't fail, they just missed something, and to do better next time. And then if you keep acquiring AFGOs, well, then we can have a conversation. But it allows people the comfort and safety to fail and say, hey, this is just a learning opportunity.
And people to be honest with other
That's
people
big.
too.
Yeah, because then what does it do? Someone shows up for the afternoon shift. They recognize, the morning shift didn't mop the floors or vacuum. Well, now they're angry. Now they have resentment towards that person that messed up that thing. Whereas it's like, no, guys, they just
Because they now have to do
because
it.
they now have to do it, right? So
Right.
now they are able to educate that person and say, hey, you missed this on the checklist. You didn't do this. Here's another fucking growth opportunity. Fix it and move on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
I want to talk about one more thing before we hop off because I know we got limited time. But one of the issues that our business owner, ideal client, runs into is that he sometimes has a lack of mindset or struggles, and he loses the inspiration or whatever it is. And the inspiration is hard, right? But there's always an opportunity to grow. And so you referenced John Maxwell before we got started, and you obviously are a learning individual. Every time we have an event or a training, you're always there. So is there a reason why John Maxwell's on the list? Do you listen to his stuff? How do you maintain your mindset? Is he related to that?
Well, yeah, I can. I've always been interested in success to some degree, and have read some of his books. Saw him at I went to a Bible study recently, and he was the featured guy. He was on tape, and he talked about leadership. And John Maxwell is one of many thousands of people who are extremely good at being able to look at you, identify something that you might want to work on. And if you don't seek out inspiration, if you don't listen and try to take away the positive things that are big. You may not agree with everything John Maxwell says, but he's very, very good at what he does. And part of what he does, he's a very religious man, but also part of what he does is he says, okay, let's think about this. What should you be saying? Not what you want to say, but what should you be saying to assist those individuals to be better? We talked about failure. Well, there's nothing wrong with failure if you treat it the right way.
Yeah.
I'm learning through my failures. And there was a guy by the name of Maxwell Smoltz, I can't even remember his name right now, talked about psycho-cybernetics years ago. And it was talking about the mind. What do you put in your mind? How do you get better at putting positive things in your mind instead of negative things? Think about the positive stuff. And then when you read the Bible or you meet religious leaders and they talk about a thread that could run through your life if you allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
Open up, be open to that. And those are all things that are very intangible. You can't touch them, you can't see them, but they're there if you believe that.
Yeah.
And I think having faith is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's very hard to believe certain things if you can't see them, touch them. And that's the negative of college. Question everything because you're so damn smart. Oh, you got a degree. Well, who cares? What did you really learn? And by going from college where I learned nothing, I hate to say it that way, folks, but you learn things, you learn textbooks, you learn law, but real life is military. Yeah. That's where the rubber meets the road. And when you're in medical, just as an example, and you save somebody's life, or you save somebody in a burning building, or you do some of the things you had to do, and you realize that you succeeded. No idea why you did. You walked away from it, you learned from it, hopefully, and you're a better person because of it. I think a lot of our challenges today with the employees is they've never had experiences, real life experiences. They've had experiences, but it's all been fluff. Oh, you're such a wonderful little child, and you're so everything's wonderful. Well, everything's not wonderful. You're a jerk. You act like a jerk. Let's learn how to do it maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
And we all have, I have grandkids, and you look at them sometimes and say, why did you do that? What motivated you to hit your sister with a stick?
Yeah.
Help me get that. And so I think our challenge as adults, particularly in the business world, is how do I bring people in? Because I don't know who they are until we start dealing with life with each other. But how do you get better at that? How do you get better at saying to them, you're not ready for my company yet? I like you.
Yeah.
But I want you to go do this for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I want you to come back and let's talk.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to hear that.
Then no one wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to do that.
But
nobody wants to do that.
There's an idea of nature versus nurture too, and I think that if somebody fits your organization from a value standpoint, and you have the tools or give them the tools in order to become a better version of themselves, so they can move up and make more of an impact. There's like the nature, like everybody has their own God-given born genetics that they have, right? But there's also things that happen in their life that are going to impact who they are too. And so that's the natural part of who they are is just what the given, and the nurturing part of the environmental part is what happened to them in the past, whether it's childhood or toxic leadership or positive leadership, whatever it is that allowed them to learn who they are. Getting people to actually process that and think about those things, I think will also make a huge impact too. And we're toying with that idea right now too, by having people write down what they think they want to be when they show up. Like, who do you want to be? What is your ideal version of yourself when you come to work every day or when you wake up every day? How do you want people to perceive you? What is the ideal avatar of you? And then this is coming out in 4 weeks, so I can say this because we're going to do a 2.0 version of that, and it's going to be, how do you actually show up? And what caused that? Like, what in your life has caused you to have these negative feelings about yourself, or doubt, or struggles, or the positive feelings that that helps you create the person that you ideally want to be too? And I think if you were going back to the question about John Maxwell and all these people, he does a great job of putting people through those processes of thinking, like, what is the things that got you to where you're at today, and what do you want to be, and how do we bridge that gap? And I think that development for people is outside of the training part that we always talk about. How do you train you to do the job well? But there's a whole human element of that too,
let's
right?
Go one step past that.
Exactly, because nobody's a machine yet. We have machines that are trying to do some of our jobs, but the reality is that right now the machines can't do everything that we do because we have this people element to it, and that part of us is what allows us to add that flair of South Louisiana vibes and branding that we can put on on business, but you got to have people work through who they are to figure that out so that they can then be self-aware enough to take the next step. So anyway, that was my rant. But thanks for coming on, man. It was a great conversation.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Any last comments?
Yeah, a last comment would simply be this. Don't be afraid of failure. Mm-hmm. We all fail every day. Somehow, some way, we don't do quite what we thought we would. But don't be intimidated, and don't be afraid to become a risk taker. Mm-hmm. Do something a little different, a little unusual for you and your little safe play. Get a little adventuresome, maybe.
Yeah,
try it. You might like it.
Have some fun.
Definitely have fun.
I'll say that we are the circle has been completed now. We've had Lindsay, Seal, and Mr. Jeff. So the whole family's been on the podcast. So
I'm very pleased with both of them. They are great adults, great parents.
They have great kids.
Yeah, they're just great kids. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Mr. Jeff. Appreciate you, man.
My pleasure.